injury and is a champion of advocating for people with spinal cord injuries in Kenya, and has created a very comprehensive nonprofit that looks at policy, training, rehab, adaptive equipment. So some basic stats in Kenya: after a spinal cord injury, your average lifespan is less than 4 years, and 75% of deaths occur 2 years after discharge from a hospital. A big piece of that is lack of adaptive, affordable equipment. She provided me with some prices of some of the products that they need, and that some they've been able to access. But again, this is a nonprofit, so they're relying mainly on donations. And if you look at these prices, you know, the lowest, at least around wheelchairs, you know, $450, $500 for these long distance wheelchairs that are manufactured in Kenya, and for any type of motorized wheelchair, it's, you know, $20,000. And any of the more sophisticated products are imported from Europe or the US. Okay. So actually, one other thing about nonprofits is, you all know, this is a very small nonprofit that's started in Kenya, but there's very large-scale nonprofits, Handicap International, for one, that have historically provided probably the most provision of assistive technology around the world. Nonprofits are susceptible to fluctuations in funding priorities, and as some of the people have talked about here, there's that fear of trust and commitment among the community of, are you going once the funding dries up? So there's obviously awareness of that and a lot of work to make these efforts sustainable. But I think a lot of these organizations, if you're a small community-based organization, a large nonprofit, you're, you know, constantly looking for sustainable funding models and structures. So the next piece of this is looking at information dissemination, and I think Deepti and I have come up, even though we don't have any evidence-based research, that this might be one of the biggest barriers, biggest needs around AT, is that people just don't even know what's out there. They don't know the possible benefits. They don't know where to find it, if they are aware of what exists and how to purchase it, and then all the other types of information you need to go along with it, the training and support. So again, some examples. So one-way street, I'm calling it, so just one-way communication. We have the multimedia. I think I'm going to show these. But I was sent some videos from Kenya. They actually had their nationwide TV broadcasting company put a four-part series on disabilities within Kenya. It was really good. It was talked about all the data they had on people with disabilities. It covered some assistive technology and how costly it was, and then it also, Mary and a couple other people within Kenya that are really productive and successful members of society talked about their role and really provide some inspiration that a disability doesn't mean that you can't be involved. That was a nationwide series. And then there's some internet, well, there's plenty of internet-based multimedia. You want to talk about this one? The clips?
I think the one over here that's been mentioned, it's developed by a group called Assistive Technology Solutions at the University of New Hampshire. It was just one of the examples, but I think if you look online, there are plenty of sites. Of course, we talk, there's always the catch of can you actually access the internet, but let's deal with that later. But there are a lot of these do-it-yourself solutions that are put up on internet websites. There's instructables.com. This particular thing is 1-minute clips that are put up on YouTube, and look at, again, locally available solutions that you can put together in a minute to 5 minutes time. This one was not actually created for a resource-limited environment outside of the United States or the developed world, so to speak. It was more for resource-limited environments within the United States. You're talking about remote locations, rural areas, people who are engaged in agricultural work and sometimes don't have access to the technology they need, but things like that can be adapted to developing countries as well.
And a couple examples of resources where there of actual products, AT products that are out there that are focused on resource-constrained areas. The catalog that's out in the display area that was developed at James Madison University? Yeah. And this was actually from funding by the U.S. State Department, their Office of Weapons Removal and Abatement. And it's a really impressive, in fact, there's a CD, there's probably enough CDs for everybody here that has the catalog. And this was a large investment to develop this technology. I mean, this catalog, it brought together a number of universities to review all the products, to identify what was the best solution for that particular need. And it also analyzed the common types of employment AT needs in different regions, and then organize the AT for those particular work requirements. This currently is this CD in a print version. They had plans to develop it as an online database and are hoping to do that in the next, when they get their next funding. Another resource that I just located is an online database that was established in India, called this organization called Saksham, and an individual identified that there was really no distribution point for AT and no hub of even where to find out what's out there. And so he has designed his own online database that provides all the best AT available, categorized, really easy to search. It's like, Amazon gives you a price, you can purchase it. And then also as a component to that database, there's individualized assessments of what people need, that they can be provided that guidance along with selecting that product. Some examples of two-way information sharing. I'm sure, are most of you familiar with knowledge translation? No? Okay. I think knowledge translation was just realizing that academics spend too much time together. So it's a whole realm of research and developing new ways to ensure that information becomes usable knowledge, which you actually have to actively, intentionally do, or it doesn't. I mean, we actually run a knowledge translation grant here within our center, and a big piece of that is taking the information that we deem the best quality information out there about, I mean, you could take a particular AT topic, health topic, and creating that iterative process with the end user and saying, does this information make sense to you? Is it what you need? Did it help you make this decision? And without that conversation going on, there's no guarantee it's happening. And so we can devote a ton of resources to developing very sophisticated catalogs and databases and information overload. But if we're not taking that next step to make sure people are actually using it and using it effectively, then yeah, it's some wasted money. We have our online workshops like today. And then this user-initiated interactive platforms, which are booming all over the place, if you're all on Facebook. But I wanted to mention one. A presenter last year started Inclusive Planet, which is a social networking site for visually impaired users based in India. And it started as a corporation with investors and has now been It has 4,000 members in 78 countries, and it is used